Chap 156. Black and White Deities. Hanju's limit defeating Ji Xianqian didn't make Hanju too happy. The fact that Ji Xianqian had the time to challenge him meant that the true devil calamity had ended. Hanju understood something. No matter who left the world, it would still continue to advance. From the looks of it, the devils are defeated and the demonic path is suppressed. The heavenly court shouldn't need to clean up the mortal world, right? Hanju thought silently. No. I have to have a foolproof plan. Hanju's essence soul immediately left his body and jumped into the netherworld. Jumping from the living world to the netherworld was faster than him rushing to the ends of the mortal world. After becoming a reincarnation loose immortal, Hanju could clearly sense the existence of the netherworld and the immortal world. Above was the immortal world, and below was the netherworld. As for the other worlds, he couldn't sense them for the time being. Senior Meng Pa! Hanju shouted. Ghost mist filled the surroundings. The world was dark and there was no sun or moon. It was like the deepest part of the abyss. What is it? Meng Po's voice sounded. Hanju asked, if I want to bring some people to the netherworld, can you allow it? The living are not allowed to enter the netherworld. You can kill them. When the time comes, I'll send their souls to you. Hanju smiled and asked, Senior, are you serious? Meng Pa said helplessly, I'm only a ghost servant. I can't make decisions in the netherworld. If the Magus race rises in the future, I can help you. Then, what can you help me with now, Senior? You wanted me to accept Tu Lingler, so I took her in, but you can't do anything for me. Do you want to gain something for nothing? Meng Pa fell silent. Hanju was also silent. Could it be that Meng Pa was angry and wanted to kill him? If that was the case, he couldn't befriend her. Hanju panicked. After a while, Meng Pa sighed. How about I give you 2 ghost servant spots? Hanju said helplessly, I still have to kill them in that case. I'll give you a resurrection lily. It can increase spirit chi and produce fruits that can revive the dead. The resurrection lily could still bear fruit. Hanju learned something. Alright, how can I obtain the resurrection lily? Hanju asked. In the dead of the night, I'll get the black and white deities to send it to your cave abode. Alright. I'll leave Tu Linger in your care. No problem. Hanju cupped his fists in the air and bowed before leaving. Late at night, Hanju patiently waited for the arrival of the black and white deities. Speaking of which, he had never seen a ghost servant before. There were very few ghosts in the Jade Pure Sacred sect. After all, it was a righteous sect with Providence protecting it. After a disciple died, their soul would be directly reincarnated and sucked into the netherworld. They wouldn't be reduced to wandering ghosts. At midnight, a cold wind blew into the connate cave abode. 2 ghosts passed through the stone door, one black and one white. They looked like the black and white deities of the legends. They wore long ghost robes and had sinister faces. Their tongues fell outside their mouths and reached their chests. They were quite terrifying. The 2 ghosts looked identical. The only difference was that they were black and white. Wo hanged ghosts. Hanju couldn't help but retort internally. Dao Comprehension Sword was still cultivating. She clearly could not sense the arrival of the black and white deities. The black deity came in front of Hanju and said respectfully, Meng Pa asked the 2 of us to bring this treasure to you. He waved his right hand, and a flower appeared on the table. The leaves of the resurrection lily were red in color. The petals were narrow and thin, as if thousands of red lines had burst out. It was strange and beautiful. Hanju immediately used the simulation trial test. Black and white deities. 5th level of the loose immortal realm. Netherworld ghost servants. Only at the 5th level of the loose immortal realm. Hanju thought that the black and white deities were very strong. He asked curiously, are you 2 the only black and white deities in the underworld? The white deity smiled. No, the 2 of us are only responsible for the otherworldly ghost affairs in this mortal world. The black and white deities of a mortal world, farewell. The black deity cupped his hands and left with the white deity. Before they reached the stone door, they vanished into thin air. Hanju stood up and picked up the resurrection lily. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, who were you talking to just now? Hearing this, Hanju casually replied, 2 ghost servants. Ghost servants, Dao Comprehension Sword felt her blood run cold. Why didn't she see them? Hanju carefully sized up the resurrection lily. He could feel that this flower contained a huge amount of spirit chi and the chi of reincarnation. As expected of a flower from the netherworld, Hanju couldn't judge the value of the resurrection lily. He planted it in the corner of the cave abode. Take care of this flower in the future, Hanju instructed Dao Comprehension Sword. Dao Comprehension Sword hurriedly nodded and stared at him, planting the lily in the corner. Hanju returned to the bed and started cultivating the reincarnation. Loose Immortal Realm was not divided into 9 minor realms. It was divided into the early, middle, late, and perfect stages. Since it was divided into 4 levels, Hanju would definitely take longer to break through each minor realm. The more this was the case, the more Hanju had to spend his energy on cultivation. He couldn't slack off. Above the layers of clouds, a black crack appeared in the blue sky. Lightning flowed out like a snake. A figure slowly stepped out from the black crack. It was Daoist Juyin. He opened his arms and breathed in the spirit chi of the mortal world. He sighed. The mortal world is still the best. Another figure stepped out from the black crack behind him. It was a woman in black. The woman had a cold expression and her beautiful hair was tied into a bun. Her posture was dignified, but there was a sinister look in her eyes. I won't interfere in matters of the mortal world unless I encounter an existence that has surpassed the mortal world, the black-robed woman said. Daoist Juyin hurriedly turned to look at her. He bowed and said, "Thank you for following me, senior." The woman in black grunted coldly. "I wonder what relationship you have with him." "Since he personally asked, I came to help you." "Go on, I'll stroll around the mortal world." Daoist Juyin smiled apologetically and nodded. The woman in black vanished. Daoist Juyin heaved a sigh of relief and smiled, "Heavenly immortal manner. And the guy who killed my pet, don't even think about escaping." 10 years passed after planting the resurrection lily. Hanju, who was cultivating, opened his eyes and frowned slightly. For some reason, he had been feeling uneasy recently. This feeling was becoming stronger. The last time was when a true devil attacked. As the devil race up to something again, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the vermilion bird to vent. He cursed as he checked his interpersonal relationships. After so many years, his friends had all improved. The slowest were the original elders of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, including Li Qingzi. His potential was too mediocre. The current Jade Pure Sacred Sect was already considered a holy land. The disciples they recruited were not only from the Great Yen but also from the surrounding states. Their aptitudes far exceeded the previous disciples. As the Jade Pure Sacred Sect became stronger, the elders also constantly changed. Most of the people had left by themselves as they could not withstand the pressure. When the average cultivation level of the core disciples reached the nascent soul realm, the nascent soul realm elders were indeed very embarrassed. No, I can't increase my cultivation level for the time being. I have to strengthen my mystical power. After all, the heavenly court can come at any time, Hanju thought silently. 6 days later, he began to comprehend the 3 pure world cleansing. A month later, he continued to study the somersault cloud. He couldn't only think of insta-kill, but also develop in all directions. A year later, Hanju comprehended his mystical powers and sword intent to their limits. He heaved a sigh of relief as the uneasiness in his heart finally dissipated. I knew it. Safety still depended on one's own strength. Chap 157. Mysterious curse, attack of a powerful enemy. After a year of comprehension, Hanju felt his strength increase greatly. He began the simulation trial against the black and white deities, 1 against 2. The black and white deities were both at the 5th level of the loose immortal realm. At the beginning of the battle, Hanju directly used 3 pure world cleansing. Millions of sword shadows erupted, attacking the black and white deities until they had nowhere to hide. He killed them instantly. Hanju was the sword immortal of reincarnation. He could directly kill the existing beings of the 2 realms. Not bad, it was fine as long as he could kill them instantly. He wondered if he could instantly kill Daoist Juyin, who was at the 8th level of the loose immortal realm. Thinking of him, Hanju suddenly felt that he had gotten too complacent. Perhaps the uneasiness did not come from the heavenly court, but Taoist Juyin, it was very likely. Hanju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing him. 6 days after the curse, he was still worried. Should he sacrifice some of his lifespan and curse Taoist Juyin to death? He had 1,000,000 years of life. Anyway, Hanju was very tempted by this thought. No. After the first attempt, there would be a second time and countless times ahead. This was just like the in-game transactions of the modern world. This was a trap, a huge trap. Hanju shook his head and laughed. Then, he started to check his emails. He wondered how the cultivation world was in the past years. Your good friend Imo Fujo encountered a fortuitous encounter. With the blessing of a divine beast, his providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by your enemy, Taoist Juyin. He is severely injured. Your good friend Ji Lingchan was attacked by your enemy, Taoist Juyin. He died. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X76544. Your grand disciple Feng Liang dreamed of the heavenly Tao during his cultivation. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your Tao companion Xian Qingjun was attacked by demons, X10223 Taoist Juyin. This guy actually descended into the mortal world. Hanju was shocked. Ji Xianchen was severely injured and Ji Lingchan was directly killed. Could it be that the heavenly immortal manor had been destroyed by Taoist Juyin? No, he had to curse this fellow to death. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune again and continued cursing Taoist Juyin. Although he could insta-kill the black and white deities, it did not mean that he could insta-kill Taoist Juyin. He might not even win, after all. There was a difference of 3 minor realms between the black and white deities and Taoist Juyin. Far away, the mountains were continuous, and the sky was so beautiful. On a huge peak tens of thousands of feet high, palaces were destroyed one after another. Smoke curled up. Taoist Juyin sat in a broken hall. His face was pale as if he was severely injured. In the corner of the hall, the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manor were trapped in a circle of light, including Ji Xianchen. What happened to him? Injured? Who injured him? It might be Qi deviation. He's a fiendish cultivator, to begin with. He might be harboring demons in his heart and is fighting against them. Sai, what does he want to do with us? Why didn't he kill us? Ji Xianchen's expression darkened. He didn't participate in the discussion. He stared at Taoist Juyin, wishing he could tear him into pieces. Facing Taoist Juyin, he had been utterly defeated. It was even worse than facing Hanju. The latter had at least held back, but Taoist Juyin did not. Not only had Taoist Juyin defeated him, but he had also trampled on his dignity. Ji Xianchen was waiting for an opportunity, didn't know why Taoist Juyin did not kill them all, but he knew that this was an opportunity. At this moment, boom! Taoist Juyin spat out a mouthful of blood, splattering all over the ground. His aura weakened, he clutched his chest and opened his eyes. With a sinister expression, he muttered, "Damn it. Who is it?" He panicked. He was cursed again, and this time, the curse was stronger than before. His dermic powers quickly melted and his lifespan decreased. At this rate, he might die. Taoist Juyin hurriedly cast a spell and called out to the woman in black. Before long, a black vortex appeared in front of him. The woman in black stepped out. What's the matter? Why are you so panicked? The black-dressed woman asked impatiently. Her gaze landed on Taoist Juyin as her expression changed slightly. Taoist Juyin began to bleed from his 7 apertures. He was extremely miserable. He gritted his teeth and said, "The curse I mentioned before has begun again. It's stronger than before." The woman in black raised her right hand and pinched her fingers to deduce. However, she couldn't figure out where the curse came from. She had no choice but to stand behind Taoist Juyin. She placed her palms on his back and used her spirit energy to heal him. In less than 5 breaths of time, the black-dressed woman also began to bleed from her 7 apertures. She had no choice but to stop. "No, this curse is too strong," the woman in black said in a low voice. Taoist Juyin was in despair. He hurriedly shouted, "Can you ask a senior for help? Hurry up, I can't hold on anymore." The woman in black hesitated for a moment before taking out a token and probing with her divine sense. The people from the heavenly immortal manor were stunned. "Curse? Was someone cursing Taoist Juyin? They were overjoyed. Taoist Juyin was a mighty cultivator who had ascended. To be able to curse him until he was severely injured, it had to be an immortal god. The black-robed woman stared at Taoist Juyin and said, "You have to find a place with the greatest providence to suppress the curse. Otherwise, you won't live until help arrives." Taoist Juyin nodded. The two of them immediately stood up and disappeared. As for the people from the heavenly immortal manor, in Taoist Juyin's opinion, they couldn't escape at all. The mortal world was the biggest prison. Under your curse, your enemy Taoist Juyin's lifespan decreased by 500,000 years and he was severely injured. Seeing this email, Hanju immediately stopped. He wiped the blood from his face and nodded in satisfaction. He had lost nearly 100 years of his lifespan from this curse. Although it was nothing compared to his 1 million years of lifespan, he still felt heartache. Only this time. There will be no next time. Hanju thought silently and started to heal. Several days later, his injuries recovered and he continued cultivating. His injuries were not considered serious, but Taoist Juyin wouldn't recover for decades. A few decades was enough for Hanju to break through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. The immortal qi emitted by the Fusang tree was even more abundant than its spirit qi. Hanju could feel his dermic powers increasing every day. Good times did not last. A month later, Taoist Juyin and the black-robed woman arrived. They stood on the clouds and looked at the distant Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. They were surprised. This mountain actually contains immortal qi. How can this be? Taoist Juyin was shocked. Before he ascended, he had traveled the world and had never seen such a precious mountain. The black-dressed woman's gaze landed on the peak of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. She saw the Fusang tree. The two fire ravens on the Fusang tree seemed to be. Her eyes widened in shock. Impossible. Two young golden crows. Could this mountain be the territory of the Golden Crow divine clan? She took a deep breath and carefully advanced with Taoist Juyin. Currently, only this place could help him suppress the curse. Arriving in front of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, the black-robed woman did not dare to forcefully break the formation. Instead, she cupped her fists and bowed. "We apologize for coming uninvited. May I know senior's name?" Murong Qi, Fang Liang, Sun Changyan, and the others under the Fusang tree opened their eyes. They were stunned to find that they could not see through their cultivation levels. The two little golden crows spread their wings as if they were facing a great enemy. Chap 158. Battle of the Loose Immortals, Taoist Juyin, 8th level of the Loose Immortal Realm, Rogue Cultivator of the Immortal World, Yang Yanjun, 9th level of the Loose Immortal Realm, Disciple of the Dragon Immortal Island in the Immortal World. Seeing the two lines of words in front of him, Hanju was silent, was panicking internally. He didn't answer the black-robed woman named Yang Yanjun. Instead, he began to use the simulation trial, facing Taoist Juyin. The guy was insta-killed. Facing Yang Yanjun, he couldn't kill her instantly. This woman actually had a mysterious Dharma treasure that could block Hanju's attack. Fortunately, a few seconds later, he still killed her with his powerful strength. Hanju tried to fight against two at once. 10 breaths later, he opened his eyes. No way, he couldn't kill them instantly. With their abilities, it was very likely that they would harm the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. What should he do? Hanju frowned. Dao Comprehension Sword asked, "Master, why are you frowning? Are there enemies outside?" Hanju said softly, "Stay in the cave abode and don't go anywhere." Hanju got up and walked out of the cave abode. The other party was already here. He couldn't hide even if he wanted to. Before the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain, Taoist Juyin and Yang Yanjun were still waiting. Is it really the Golden Crow Divine Clan? Taoist Juyin asked in shock. Yang Yanjun nodded and said, "They're indeed golden crows, but they're only at the Mahayana realm. Their potential is average in the Golden Crow Divine Clan, but to be able to take in a golden crow with ordinary potential, this person is definitely not immortal. We should face him cautiously." Taoist Juyin nodded, his eyes filled with hope. "What's the matter, fellow Taoists?" Hanju's voice floated out. Taoist Juyin found the voice familiar. He narrowed his eyes and saw Hanju walking out of the cave abode. It was him. Taoist Jian's face instantly turned sinister. The memories of great sage Green Python before his death were transmitted to him through a special mystical power. This was also the reason why he hated Han Jue. In an instant, Taoist Jian thought of many possibilities. The person who cursed him was probably Han Ju. Taoist Jian immediately sent a voice transmission to Yang Yanjun and recounted the hatred of his demon pet. Hearing this, Yang Yanjun was not moved. She smiled at Han Ju and said, "Can you let the two of us stay on the mountain for a while? My fellow Taoist is severely injured and needs to find a place to recuperate." She couldn't see through Han Ju's cultivation and guessed that he was also from the upper world. In addition, this person was really handsome. Taoist Jian tried his best to control his emotions and did not interrupt. "This kid doesn't know of my existence. I can find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack." Taoist Jian thought silently. Han Ju's voice floated over. "This isn't good. There isn't enough space on the mountain. It can't accommodate you too. Yang Yanjun has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 4 stars, 4 stars already." Han Ju cursed silently. This woman looked very polite, but he didn't expect her to be so petty. Yang Yanjun sighed and said, "Fellow Taoist, how can you be so heartless? You're leaving us in the lurch. We're only staying for a while and won't disturb you. Saving a life is better than building a 7-storied pagoda." Taoist 9 cauldrons and a group of elders rushed over. The other party wanted to stay in the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain as soon as they arrived. They were clearly not ordinary people. "Fellow Taoists, which sect are you from?" Taoist 9 cauldrons cupped his fists and asked with a smile. He was very smart and did not go up. He kept his distance from Yang Yanjun and Taoist Jian. Yang Yanjun glanced at him and then looked at Han Ju again. "Fellow Taoist, you really can't accept us?" Although she couldn't see through Han Ju's cultivation, she didn't feel any danger from him. Han Ju's attitude was not firm either. It seemed that he didn't have a powerful background. Yang Yanjun had also asked around before descending into the mortal world. There was no famous deity lurking in this mortal world. With that thought, Yang Yanjun raised her right hand and a flying dagger appeared in her hand. Han Ju narrowed his eyes and asked, "Are you threatening me?" He immediately flashed out of the Cultivate, diligently become Immortal Mountain and arrived outside the mountain protecting a ray formation. Yang Yanjun narrowed her eyes and smiled. "We have no choice. We have to stay on your mountain for a period of time. I hope that fellow Taoist won't go too." Before she could finish speaking, Han Ju suddenly waved his sleeve. The primordial judgment sword had already appeared in his hand. In an instant, countless sword shadows shot out along the edge of the sword, turning into a black torrent that swept towards her. Yang Yanjun's expression changed drastically. She didn't expect Han Ju to be so decisive. Almost instantly, Yang Yanjun threw the flying dagger. The flying dagger transformed into a 1,000-foot-long saber in front of her, blocking Han Ju's sword shadows. Boom! In the battle of the loose immortals, the pressure shook the world. Even the sky was torn apart as bolts of heavenly lightning appeared. Taoist 9 cauldrons and the elders retreated in fear under the Fusong tree. Everyone watched nervously. What a terrifying aura! What realm are they at? Cold sweat broke out on Morong Chi's forehead. He thought that he was already considered an expert, but facing the pressure of Han Ju and Yang Yanjun, he realized how tiny he was. The others were also shocked. Tu Linger looked at Han Ju with glowing eyes. Taoist Jian was shocked. He didn't expect Han Ju to be so powerful. At this moment, Han Ju suddenly raised his left hand and pointed his index finger at Taoist Jian. Heaven Earth Mystic Yellow World Piercing Sword Finger. Swish, sword chi shot out, sweeping through the sky. Yang Yanjun widened her beautiful eyes and shouted, "How dare you!" Han Ju fought with her and still dared to attack Taoist Jian. Was he not afraid of offending them? The heavily injured Taoist Jian did not even have time to react before he was killed by the sword chi. He died. His soul dissipated. Han Ju approached Yang Yanjun. He sheathed his sword with his right hand and pointed it at the sky. Sword intent, sword into the sky. And a sea of sword chi quickly appeared in the blue sky. It was magnificent and stretched for a few hundred kilometers. "You're dead meat. Yang Yanjun was furious. Her mission was to protect Daoist Juyan, but she didn't expect him to die in front of her. How could she answer to her senior now? She had to kill this person. She would also occupy the precious mountain. Yang Yanjun cast a spell with both hands, and the huge flying dagger shot towards Hanju. She wanted to interrupt him from using his mystical power. Unexpectedly, Hanju ignored her flying dagger and continued to use the 3 pure world cleansing. Countless sword shadows condensed from the sea of sword chi. There were millions of them. They soared into the sky and shook the world. All the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect looked up, dumbfounded. From their vision, the entire sky was filled with sword shadows. This was the first time they had encountered such a scene in their lives. Boom! The huge flying dagger collided with Hanju. A strong light burst out from his body and forcefully blocked the flying dagger. Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. Yang Yanjun cried out involuntarily. How could this fellow have a Grand Unity Supreme Treasure? Hanju replied by attacking. Millions of sword shadows swooped down like the sky was collapsing. All the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect felt a strong wind descend from the sky, pressing them to the ground. The mountains shook and the ground cracked. Yang Yanjun quickly cast a spell. Her dermic powers shone around her like a huge ball of light. Boom! 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 Countless sword shadows descended madly, causing the huge ball of light to tremble violently. Yang Yanjun's body also trembled. He's not a loose immortal? Yang Yanjun thought in horror. Oh no, she couldn't block it. Chap 159 8th grade Heavenly General, Daoist Dan Qing. Hanju stared at Yang Yanjun. Seeing that she didn't escape, he was overjoyed. Since you're so bold, don't even think about leaving. Hanju waved his sword again. The sea of sword chi in the sky condensed countless sword shadows again and attacked Yang Yanjun with the momentum of a collapsing sky. It was unstoppable. Yang Yanjun was shocked and immediately moved. However, at that moment, as soon as her dermic powers dissipated, she was injured by Hanju's sword chi. She moved dozens of kilometers away, and just as she appeared, she was so angry that a mouthful of blood rushed up to her throat. Boom! Yang Yanjun raised her hand and waved, causing the flying dagger to tear through the air and land in her hand again. Damn it! If not for the heavenly rules, how could I be in such a sorry state? Yang Yanjun cursed angrily. She threw the flying dagger above her head and quickly cast a spell with both hands. A boom! The world trembled as the spirit chi of the land gathered towards her flying dagger, forming a visible airwave. It was a spectacular sight. She had no intention of escaping. She still wanted to fight. Hanju completely infuriated her. Swish! A piercing sound came. It was the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. Yang Yanjun was already mentally prepared and immediately dodged. Just as she turned around, Hanju appeared behind her. He used the somersault cloud as a foundation last year to create a grand unity movement technique. He could jump behind the enemy with just one follow-up move. It was extremely precise. Yang Yanjun saw him from the corner of her eye and her pupils widened. Impossible! A black sword chi suddenly erupted and soared into the sky. It was like a brush waving towards the sky, hanging high above the ground. Yang Yanjun's body was directly destroyed by Hanju's sword chi, leaving only her essence soul in front of him. I'm a disciple of the Dragon Immortal Island. My senior brother is a heavenly general of the heavenly court. Yang Yanjun exclaimed. Just as she finished speaking, she immediately turned around and her essence soul flew away. Hanju waved his sword, and a million sword shadows came from all directions, directly killing her. She was finally dead. Was the heavenly general very impressive? I'm a descendant of an immortal emperor. Hanju secretly felt disdain. With things developing to this point, even if he let Yang Yanjun go, it was impossible to end this bad karma. Hanju raised his left hand and sucked in a storage ring and a flying dagger into his palm. He flew towards the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. Along the way, he did not find Daoist Juyan's storage ring. It was probably destroyed by the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. After returning to the Fusong tree, everyone immediately surrounded him. Even Xing Hongxian, Fairy Shi Shen, Changyuer, and Li Qingzi were their master. How's the situation? Who are those two? Grandmaster is too powerful. Need you ask? They're definitely dead. Who in the world can survive against our master? Everyone was very excited. In the past, Hanju almost always killed his enemies instantly. It was rare for him to fight in such a manner. They couldn't forget the sword shadows that filled the sky and the pressure that made their souls tremble. The three-headed Wyrm king was the most shocked. He, who was at the 6th level of the Mahayana realm, was also forced to kneel on the ground. What did that mean? This meant that Hanju and Yang Yanjun had definitely surpassed the Mahayana realm and were at the Immortal Realm. Hanju smiled and said, "It's fine. You can continue cultivating." With that said, he returned to the connate cave abode. There was no need to tell others about some things. It would only cause panic. When Taoist 9 Cauldrons saw that the battle had ended, he hurriedly got the elders to comfort the disciples. Today's battle caused the deity-slaying elder's name to shake the sect again. After so many years, many disciples had almost forgotten about the deity-slaying elder. The most excited were the new disciples. They didn't expect the deity-slaying elder to be so terrifying. Inside the connate cave abode.as Hanju started to check Yang Yanjun's storage ring. Dao Comprehension Sword came over curiously. Yang Yanjun was indeed from the upper world. She was really rich. She had Dharma treasures, spell scrolls, divine power scrolls, and so on. She had everything she needed and many pills that could help loose immortals cultivate. He had made a killing. Yang San has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 6 stars. Taoist Dan Qing has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 3 stars. 2 lines of words appeared in front of Hanju. He wasn't surprised. To sum it up, there were only 2 words. A loop. After killing the young, the old would come. Was this the cycle of life? Everyone was interconnected in some way. If someone killed Hanju's disciples, he would definitely take revenge. Moreover, the people of the upper world definitely have a mystical power that could deduce who had killed the person they cared about. Only the 2 of them had developed hatred towards Hanju. He felt that it was too small of a number. It seemed that Yang Yanjun was not good with interpersonal relationships. Hanju pulled out his interpersonal relationships and started to check their information. Yang San, late stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal, 8th grade Heavenly General of the Heavenly Court. Because you killed his beloved junior sister Yang Yanjun and his subordinate, Taoist Juyan, who was supposed to be nurtured, he has developed hatred towards you. He won't rest until you're dead. Current hatred points, 6 stars. Taoist Dan Qing, mid-stage Grand Unity True Immortal, one of the 7 Taoists of the Dragon Immortal Island. He has developed hatred towards you because you killed his beloved disciple, Yang Yanjun. If you meet, he will definitely kill you. Current hatred points, 3 stars. Late stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm, mid-stage Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. Great. They were all very strong. Hanju forced a smile and panicked internally. However, he noticed that Taoist Dan Qing's message said that if they met, that meant that he would not descend into the mortal world. There was also Yang San.as, a heavenly general of Heavenly Court. When it was time to clean up the devils, this fellow would definitely lead the team personally. No, he had to be cursed. Hanju didn't curse immediately. He would curse again after some time to avoid being discovered. Once Yang San and Taoist Dan Qing discovered that Hanju was cursing them, they would definitely get rid of him as soon as possible. In a bright hall, the stone pillars and decorations shook. A handsome man sat at the head of the table. He wore a loose Taoist robe. At this moment, his face was filled with anger, and the killing intent in his eyes was almost tangible. Junior sister, Yang San gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. His eyes were bloodshot, and his eyeballs were about to turn into blood beads. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let junior sister go. If I had waited longer, when the Heavenly Court took away the heavenly rules, how would her cultivation level at the early stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm be restricted to the loose Immortal Realm, and how would she die? Yang San muttered in pain. How could he have expected loose immortals to be hidden in the mortal world? It was all Taoist Juyan's fault. This fellow kept urging him to descend into the mortal world. but he ended up dragging his junior sister down with him. Whoever he is, that fellow is so ruthless. He even killed a woman without a second thought. His junior sister had already announced her identity in the end, but he actually did not give them face. Yang San hated Hanju so much that he wanted to cut him into pieces. When he caught Hanju, he would let him taste the most painful punishment. No, I have to report this to an immortal official. Yang San immediately stood up and turned into a gust of wind, rushing out of the hall. After killing Yang Yanjun and Daoist Juyan, Hanju removed Yang Yanjun's flying dagger and gave it to Su Qi. Su Chi happened to lack a powerful Dharma treasure. Hanju took out Yang Yanjun's pills and continued cultivating. He wanted to break through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose Immortal Realm as soon as possible. With his strength, it was very difficult for him to defeat a late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal. A year later, Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Yang San. From now on, the Vermilion Bird's curse could be delayed. Yang San was his top target. Just as he started cursing, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Qi Yunxian has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 4 stars. Chap 160. Mid-stage of the reincarnation loose Immortal Realm, little junior sister Qi Yunxian, who, Hanju was stunned and immediately checked his profile picture. At a glance, Qi Yunxian looked like a mortal. He had a head of crimson hair and he was not handsome, but neither was he ugly. His pupils were green, and it was difficult to tell what race he was. Qi Yunxian, early stage Grand Unity Heaven Immortal, 6th grade Immortal Official of the Heavenly Court. He controls the Heavenly Tao in the mortal world. Because Yang San reported you killing Yang Yanjun to the Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Court, he is extremely dissatisfied with Yang San. At the same time, he has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars, early stage Grand Unity Heaven Immortal. That was a bit too high. Hanju was secretly surprised. Cultivation realms were divided into loose Immortal, Grand Unity Earth Immortal, Grand Unity Heaven Immortal, Grand Unity True Immortal, Grand Unity Mystic Immortal, and Grand Unity Golden Immortal. In other words, Qi Yunxian was stronger than Yang San. He controlled the heavenly Tao of the mortal world. Could he be the heavenly deity of the mortal world that Hanju was in? If that was the case, Hanju could understand. Yang San was basically messing with Qi Yunxian's territory. How could he tolerate that? However, this was only Hanju's guess. If the Heavenly Court really wanted to clean up this mortal world, would a 6th grade immortal official like Qi Yunxian dare to refute? Hanju stopped thinking and continued cursing Yang San. 6 days later, he ended the curse and started cultivating no matter what. He had to hurry up and become stronger. 3 years later, detected that you are 800 years old and your life has taken another step forward. You have the following choices. 1. Immediately ascend and become an immortal god. You can obtain a supreme treasure. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Cultivate in the mortal world and you can obtain a mystical power inheritance. Hanju looked at the 3 lines of words in despair and did not immediately make a choice. Unknowingly, he was already 800 years old. He couldn't help but feel melancholic. Life really passed quickly. Hanju silently chose the second option. You choose not to ascend for the time being and obtain a mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining mystical power. 3 heads 6 arms. 3 heads 6 arms. Manifest a Dharma body with 3 heads and 6 arms. You can use 6 Dharmic treasures at the same time. Your physical strength will increase greatly. Hanju immediately started to inherit the 3 heads 6 arms mystical power. Several days later, he completely grasped the mystical power. When he transformed into 3 heads 6 arms, Tao Comprehension Sword was shocked. Upon learning that this was a mystical power, Tao Comprehension Sword indicated that she also wanted to learn it. Hanju sized her up and said, "You're so good looking. Learning it will affect your image." Tao Comprehension Sword was rejected. It was not sad, but rather happy. "I'm good looking." The next second, she thought of another question. Her image was that of the previous immortal god owner. Did Hanju like her or the previous owner? With this in mind, Tao Comprehension Sword felt depressed again. Hanju didn't care about her change in expression and continued cultivating. As Dao comprehension sword matured, she also gained human emotions. It was normal for her emotions to change. As the saying went, a woman's heart was as deep as the ocean. Hanju checked his interpersonal relationships as he cultivated, was already 800 years old. Fairy Shishen was definitely more than 1,000 years old. He didn't know when her lifespan limit would come. Currently, Fairy Shishen had already broken through to the 5th level of the soul formation realm. Her progress was not bad, thanks to the spirit chi of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain and the opportunities she had encountered. Xing Hongxian and Chang Yuer were still at the nascent soul realm, but they were already close to the soul formation realm. Mo Zhu was already at the soul formation realm. The Mo family was quite something. Lai Qingzi was stuck at the 2nd level of the soul formation realm and could not make any progress. His potential was a real problem. Su Qi had already stepped into the void amalgamation realm. The black hell chicken was also at the void amalgamation realm, still far from the body integration realm. Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and the chaotic heavenly dog were still at the soul formation realm and were already close to the void amalgamation realm. Feng Liang and Morong Qi had entered the void amalgamation realm one after another. The talent of the 3rd generation disciples was terrifying ever since Tu Linger came to the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. She had not broken through to the body integration realm, but she was close. The 2 little golden crows reached the 8th level of the Mahayana realm. The 3-headed Wyrm king did not make any progress in his cultivation. Hanju looked at his emails again. Peace had returned to the cultivation world. Ji Xianchen, Huang Jihao, Zhou Fan, and Mo Fuzhou had always been in the top 3 on the list of people attacked. The devils seemed to have stopped, but this made sense. If Hanju was the devil ancestor, he probably would have given up. 10 years later, Hanju finally broke through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. From the early stage to the mid-stage, he spent a total of 31 years. To a loose immortal, this speed was definitely considered fast, but Hanju still felt that it was a little slow. The immortal chi of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain was already very dense. In addition, no one was fighting with him for the immortal chi. He enjoyed it alone. Apart from the Fusong tree, the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine also began to produce immortal chi. With the addition of the Resurrection Lily, as time passed, the immortal chi of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain would continue to increase. After all, the Fusong tree, the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine, and the Resurrection Lily had yet to reach maturity. When Dao Comprehension Sword and Sun Chang'an broke through to the loose immortal realm, it might also help increase the immortal chi of the Cultivate diligently become Immortal Mountain. Reese after breaking through, the first thing Hanju did was use the simulation trial. 1 against 2. Hanju instantly killed Daoist Juyan and Yang Yanjun. He was immediately satisfied. He checked on his friends. No one was dead, and Xing Hongxian and the others were not in danger. He continued cultivating. Several months later, Tu Linger came to visit. In the past 10 years, she had gone out to transcend the tribulation and successfully broke through to the body integration realm. Hanju hesitated for a moment, but still let her in. Although he didn't like Tu Linger's attitude towards the heavenly immortal manner, there was someone behind her, so he couldn't show too much rejection. After all, Mengpa had given him a reward already. Tu Linger came in front of him and bowed. Senior, I've already broken through to the body integration realm. I obtained an opportunity on the way back and specially came to offer it to you. She took out a palm-sized scale. Hanju glanced at it and asked, "What's this?" He no longer cared about treasures in the mortal world. I'm not sure either. It's precisely because I'm not sure that I feel that it might be very valuable. I still need your help. Tu Lingers placed herself at a very low status. Hanju took the scale and probed it with his divine sense. He looked surprised. There was a dragon soul hidden in the scale. Furthermore, it was not a mortal soul. It emitted dermic powers. In other words, it was at least a loose immortal. However, this dragon soul was very weak and was nothing to Hanju. Hanju took it for the time being and looked at Tu Linger. You've done well. Senior, as long as you like it. Tu Linger said happily. Hanju hesitated and said, "From now on, you're my fourth disciple. First disciple Yang Tiandong, second disciple Su Qi, and third disciple Sun Chang'an." Tu Linger said, "I can choose not to be your disciple and be a maid. I can also be like the three-headed Wyrm king and guard this mountain." Hanju frowned. This woman was, after his body, Tu Linger's favorability towards him had already reached 5 stars. As long as he asked, she would offer herself to him. However, Hanju didn't want to have a complicated relationship with her. After all, this woman was the reincarnation of a grand magus. With the past of the magus race and the current situation, there would definitely be endless trouble in the future. I've made up my mind. You can leave. Hanju waved his hand. Tu Linger could only leave unwillingly. After leaving the cave abode, her eyes turned firm. "I won't give up." At this point, Yang Tiandong and the other two had a new junior sister, one who was stronger than them combined.